All right, looks like we are live. So everybody here, today I am live with my good friend, Dr. Evil Genius. He is my personal trainer of many years and also a good friend that we argue, debate, and discuss just about everything with. And I sent him this article earlier today because it's honestly, it's kind of right up his alley, right about the stuff that he
Hey,
talks about
yo,
in
they
his
ain't
channel.
nothing up my alley, yo. Pause.
You- So this will be fun. So yeah, and there's a bunch of things I kind of wanted to cover in this follow-up video that I think I failed to cover in my initial video, but I just kind of wanted to get your response to, like, what did you think when you first read that post by that professor?
Well, I didn't I kind of saw like the cliff notes of it, to be honest with you. But when you told me about it, I was just like, holy fucking shit. Are you like serious? It is one of the funnier things that it is one of the funnier things that I've heard of, especially when you look at the rhetoric that was being used to describe these particular situations. So basically, from what I understand, the guys pulled like a 21st century Revenge of the Nerds, where they figured out a way to put all of the hot, uh, intellectually lacking women, find out what classes they're in, enter those classes, and then offer them tutoring in exchange for affection. And the responses to this are just outsized, just outsized. Catherine, good to see you. Just wanted to shout out Catherine.
Thank you, Catherine. How are you?
She's always very supportive in the streams.
Thank you very much for the medication help for the kitty. That was much appreciated, by the way, for his ulcer. So thank you for that. Yeah, there's a bunch of different, like, the one thing that I found interesting is that she said we're kind of screwed from the left and the right here, because from the left they do not want to stop parsing of diversity data or have any sort of implication that any of these diversity programs might have a negative effect. They're publishing data on which groups of people are getting into classes publicly, like maybe people that may not have gotten into the class otherwise, or here's exactly where you could find women from this particular part. Like it's and then on the right side you have all the people that are going to say, well, I can't believe that you would possibly call this perverted. You're crazy for calling this perverted. But like from both sides, like on the left side, maybe some of the diversity initiatives make sense. It just may not make sense to publish the data in the manner that you do it. And the people on the right that are going to say, well, this is crazy. I can't believe that you're mad that boys and girls are talking to each other. We're talking about college students here. There's a very good chance that it's not just, oh, by the way, I'm going to be in the library at 3 o'clock during lunch. It could also be, hey, so I hear you're not good at chemistry, but I feel like we got some chemistry here.
Let's go!
Like there's always,
Look who
like,
picked up the.
no, I mean, they could be being disgusting, and like
lines.
there's no way to know. Like what she said, it makes sense, which is that this is it's this hot button political footballish type of issue where she doesn't want to say, because I feel like this is one of those issues where it's gonna get everybody to think a certain way about it based on their experiences that they've gone through, their political point of view, and admittedly just how they're feeling at the time, like without actually caring about the details. And since she provided no details, I kind of blame her a little bit there for just not providing any details. I mean, I guess the one detail she did provide that I found I really appreciated was there have been no unwanted advances.
Right. And I thought that was probably one of the things that, and it's like, I don't want to go too crazy on your platform, but I just want to say, man, that no matter what situation that we are looking at in society, there's always an angle to make men be evil. So we just came off of like this whole thing on the internet where women are now setting up cameras in gyms so that they can catch guys glancing in their direction so they can out them as creeps and stuff like that, right? And then it's just like, well, the thing is that they say, well, if you're a guy and you're super intelligent, then girls will like you, right? So then you put yourself in position for girls to like you, and you're still a bad guy. So what you're saying is these girls in college should only smash the super hot guys who are going to run through them and disrespect them. But the guys that are looking to find maybe perhaps their wife, right? I mean, we don't know exactly, what they just know that they have a biological imperative to mate with the opposite sex, with the most attractive member of the opposite sex, and they're doing what is necessary to gain access without violating anybody. So even when they do this, they're saying, well, this seems like harassment. AOL keyword seems, because it's not harassment. He did from, like you said, there was no unwanted advances or anything like that, correct?
It says, and this is not from this is not third party speculation. This is the professor that posted it. Said there have been no unwanted advances. Maybe it did. If I read the exact part that kind of made me aggravated with this post was, I should have made it been more clear with my leching comment. Still, it seems there have been no unwanted advances taking place. We simply have students excelling at the course and drawing in a crowd. So when you say drawing in a crowd, that means other people are choosing to watch them excel at something. And to be clear, even though if I don't think that this is harassment, it kind of seems like simping. I mean, it really seems like the person. I don't know if you could hear me when I still have that loading thing. So let me know if you can hear me when you see the loading bar. But it sounds like somebody that is the kid that would offer to do the cute girl's homework and hope that he could get her number or get a date, and he never did, but he did her homework. Like it seems
Yeah,
like
I know that. I know that scenario very well. In fact,
yes, there was a girl in third grade that said she'd be my friend if I did her homework, and I did her homework, and she
oh,
wasn't my
she
friend.
got you
And
with that too, huh?
that's the thing. Again, I learned that lesson in third grade. I guess some of these people
Mhm.
may not third grade learned my lesson. I probably should have learned it in kindergarten,
Damn,
but
your
some of us.
testosterone must have been high at age 8. God damn,
I was a
Lewis.
late bloomer. I learned to not simp at a high age, but
Late? No,
they're
you
making it.
said third grade.
Yeah,
That's like 8 years old. I didn't
you
learn
should
that lesson until like the sixth
you
grade.
should you learn that lesson when you're I don't know, 4 years old in preschool or some shit.
Nah,
But
I wasn't trying to do that with girls at 4.
what makes it strange. Yeah, it's just there's never. What was I gonna say? Hmm.
Well, you learn not to simp very early on.
Yeah, it does. Just because of that, it doesn't mean it's not weird.
Right.
It still has a potential to be massively weird. It's not. It wouldn't be my choice in how to go about this. I don't really feel like offering. I have to tutor you for free. I have to do your homework for free in order to get you to talk to me, kind of thing. There's definitely a weirdness there. And if anything, like she said, there are many women that were taking the men up on it, and they're
Right.
not the ones complaining. So
Right.
for all we know, these men could be doing these women's homework, not them not providing any sort of friendship, companionship, or anything in return in exchange for doing the homework. For all we know, this could actually be the other way around. And again, there's no details to know, but it could be equally as likely that the women are taking advantage of the men, which, to be clear, in this case, they're asking for it. But there's no way to know. But it's immediately assumed that they are being harassing. And the question really does become, okay, in the gym, as I said in my video, you're not allowed to go up to somebody and you're not even allowed to say, am I using this machine? Because there's a hidden camera. And she'll post it to TikTok with 200,000 subscribers saying that this man asked me, is she using the machine? So you're not allowed to do that. You can't say you can't say, oh, you can't talk in class. So when are you allowed outside of an app, essentially outside of swiping without
Mhm.
communication? When are you actually allowed to have a conversation or
Yeah,
socialize?
I think it's really interesting. Oh wow, people are asking about the frauds in Florida. Hell no, I don't watch that channel.
I watch them when they argue with Destiny and lose. Otherwise, I don't.
Oh yeah, I don't give them clicks. They're just no. Anyway, uh so the thing that that really aggravates me about the situation, Lewis, is that if the guys were hot and they got a bunch of girls crowding around them because they're hot and they're big and they're football players, that's okay. But if you're a guy who is non-select, probably under 6 feet tall, don't have the kind of aesthetic that draws women in, and you find a way to, something that you value for something that they value.
They
If
have
you're
the aesthetic of an
non-select, you're
engineering
bad.
major.
Right. Like only then, only then you're a bad guy. So it's just constantly telling the bottom 80% of guys, just give up. Because if you try to get the attention of attractive women, then you're a bad guy. So, one of the things I also noticed in this society, and you can probably blame this on Weinstein because he actually violated women, is that now you're in a situation like, well, there's a power discrepancy, and so you shouldn't be dating women if you well what who are wealthy men supposed to date then? Men that shown themselves to be competent, because the way that the world has always worked since the beginning of time is that the guys with access to the most resources, or the most competent guys, the guys that are most useful to society, got their pick of women. So now we're supposed to say, well, all the things that women value in men, and you have all the things that women value in men. When you have those things, you have to then turn down all the women that want to date you. Otherwise, you're a lech, or whatever this woman is saying. These guys have something of value, which is information. Well, if that information is being passed to a woman who values that information, and she takes a liking to that guy, how is he bad?
It doesn't make sense, and it's an immediate assumption that they're doing something wrong. To be clear, I think that they're kind of simping. I'm not, but I don't think that rises to the level of being called harassment. They started talking about a Title IX complaint. There was somebody else talking about us making a civil rights department complaint or something. And it's like, and when you say about the power dynamic,
civil rights, they only get with the hottest guys.
And yeah, one of the other things about that complaint, like, okay, if we're talking about like the CEO of Intel and an intern, the president, Monica Lewinsky, okay, I could get the power dynamic argument. But like a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old, like, really, that's what we're doing here. Like, really, like 21-year-old versus 19-year-old, like that's such a power dynamic disparity. That's saying, oh, by the way, I'm tutoring for, I'm going to be tutoring on this issue in the library at 3 p.m. during lunch. Like, rises
so is it
the
the opposite? Is it the opposite if the super smart kid is a freshman and she's a junior and he's helping her with her homework? Does that change it?
Somebody mentioned that Linus from Linus Tech Tips, in my comments, and I don't know how true this is, but his wife met her by tutoring him, and he was actually dating somebody at the time. I don't know.
Wait, she was tutoring him?
Yeah, I have not fact checked this, to be clear. I just read it from my comment. It said, I just think Louis should go on the WAN show and ask how Yvonne stole Linus. The story from the last WAN show is how Linus was being tutored by Yvonne, and Linus was a.
So she took advantage of him, is what you're saying. She harassed him. That's what you're saying. Nolan Maxwell, big thumbs up for Abba and Preach. I'm a big fan. I don't always agree with their takes, but I respect the way that they formulate arguments, and they're pretty reasonable people. So yeah, thumbs up to Abba and Preach.
Cars in depth said a 19-year-old female has much more sexual power than a 21-year-old male.
A 19-year-old female has much more sexual power than anybody else on the planet Earth, besides the most wealthy men in their mid 40s to early 50s.
Particularly in awkward.
The whole world is your oyster at age 19. You have control of the sexual marketplace by virtue of literally just existing. You don't have to earn it. And that's another thing. If this guy got super intelligent, right? And he learned some things, he's going places in life, and he uses that to gain sexual access. How is that horrible? But then the same people that will say, well, that guy is bad and he's harassing them, the same person will be like, oh, girl, you're on OnlyFans? Yeah, go get that money for those guys that you offer no value to, and they just give you money for nothing every month. You go, girl. You do. Like, you don't understand that there's a weird power dynamic from the women that are running the sexual arena towards the men that have zero sexual access. You don't think that there is an outsized power dynamic? Why are we not talking about that? If power dynamics are such a huge thing, if that's such a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, you have people that are afraid that they're going to be alone for the rest of their lives that wind up giving away hundreds of thousands of dollars on these websites to particularly, and it's really weird because like there was this whole argument. Did you ever see the Amaranth thing when she finally got, when it finally came out that she had a boyfriend, that this one guy who was a mod said,
the Twitch chick, right?
Yeah, it was so sad when you read this stuff. It really made me feel better about my worst moment in life, because nothing could possibly be worse than this, because the guy was saying something along the lines of, it's not like I felt entitled to anything or anything like that. It's just I'm paraphrasing because it was 2 years ago I read this. It was something like I just thought maybe if we met at one of these at one of these shows and we talked for a little bit, I'm not expecting anything to happen, but maybe we come back to my hotel, we talk for a little bit, and I don't know, maybe the night finds us where it finds us, and it's like, dude, And the idea that this guy was actually giving her money because he thought there was like a 1% chance of this happening is so effing sad. It's actually depressing. And like now he knows that there's a 0% chance because it's just, and like, and that's part of it. That's part of the allure. They know that she had to have known that from the beginning.
Do you remember that situation where the chick started selling 8-ounce jars of her bathwater,
I'm
and
familiar.
one
I'm
of
kind
these
of,
guys like bought it and drank it and then ended up in the hospital?
yeah, I'm familiar with that. I tried to sell
Yeah.
mine on store.rossmangroup.com. 0 sales. Not kidding. 0 fucking sales.
Well, here's the thing, man. It's to me, it's interesting because people will be quick to denigrate those guys, and I admit that I'm not immune to making fun of other guys who strike out, right? So we all have an anti-male bias all in us, myself included. But how many times have you seen a really, really popular actor, let's just say, like Idris Elba, or, you find out that, one of the most attractive men in the world is married. And then you see social media flooded with women that are all disappointed because they lost their opportunity as such and such guy. Or in the opposite, where you find out that such and such is getting a divorce or such and such is single, all the women are like, oh, well, look, I got a chance. That's okay. But in the situation that you just outlined, that's not okay. He's a loser. Okay.
I think somebody going out of their way and giving a chick thousands of dollars via the system with the idea that he has a connection to her that doesn't exist is sad. I
Yes.
think if the genders are reversed, it's equally sad.
Yes. But I
Even if it
also
was
think that a
somebody that
fool
had
and his
like,
money are easily parted. So it happens every day.
yeah, it's like that's just look, and the thing is, that the people that are likely to think like that, there's something wrong. Like they had some sort of childhood trauma, they had a relationship trauma that they haven't healed from. Maybe they're insanely socially autistic. Like you're milking the bottom rung of society, and not in terms of these are bad people, but in terms of the place that they're in at the moment.
Right.
And it's just
Let's go the personal route, Lewis. You and I have had a lot of discussions, and I think one of the discussions that we actually had on your live stream. That might have been one of the last times we actually spoke on your live stream, and you were talking about how these women, like you felt like your success rate with women was very close to 0% and all these things, right? And we had talks about why you would be rated, X number because of what women value, right? You're not the tallest guy ever, right? But you're super intelligent. You are an entrepreneur. You're connected. You're in excellent shape. All of these things supersede the lack in height for a lot of women of value if you meet them, right? Now, if you then go and date a woman, are you instantly a bad guy because you started dating after you developed yourself?
no.
How many times have you been in a situation where you were you were disenfranchised or disillusioned with a situation with a woman, and you start doubting yourself, and then you go and you start getting more attention when people see that you have a business, you have almost 2 million subscribers on your main YouTube channel, you're connected to billionaires and politicians and all these things, right?
I was doubting myself on the phone with the woman from AAA.
I mean, you did crash your meme car, so I mean, can I read can I read a comment?
Yeah, go for it. I'll put it on the screen once you point out which one it is.
Marcel Mark says, I can say this with an open heart now. Yes, I was a simp for over 2 years. Her and my happiest day of the month was my paycheck day. Oh my God. I ended up so badly. I punched a guy talking trash about her. And then in the end, and then in the end, you lost. Like that is, you lost. Like there is no winning there at all. And then you have to understand this as men. You're not worth less than the women who you're attracted to. You have to first recognize that first. You're not worth less than the women that you're attracted to, because like I said, I've had some conversations with Lewis, and then I hear that, he's giving this woman attention, and then I get the deets on the woman, and I'm like, and you're hung up over what now? Right? And the thing is, what do you think will be the outcome for these women later on, right? The girl who's in college who met a guy who is really, really smart, if she ends up marrying him and living happily ever after, how the fuck is she a victim? How is a woman that meets Lewis, where he's at right now, and moving along in his life and getting the overall outcome of security and the chance to raise a family and all this stuff, having a good guy be by her side, how is she a victim? And then you look at the opposite. What if that chick in college, instead of meeting the super smart guy who's not out there in the frat parties, getting drunk and doing stuff outside of his personality, instead she's with this guy and she's not getting taken advantage of by the football team? So is this guy really this bad guy? What would be the alternative for this woman if she's just left to trying to chase the chads like a lot of women do in college, right? How bad would Lewis be for taking a woman off the market because, I don't know, he's successful and she likes that he's successful? What is her alternatives? To buy a bunch of cats and live by herself and get automatic refilling orders of boxed wine for the rest of her life? Would you rather that for her?
I feel targeted. I love my cat.
It's different when a man, because you're a man that is productive, and women want productive men.
Yes, right? I get boxed Everclear to go with my cats. Thank you very much. But I get your point.
Yep. Well, hey, there you go.
I think the core of our conflict last time was regarding the nice person thing, where you said, well, I said being nice is what people do to get around being interesting, and you said most people in general are boring, which is actually kind of true.
Yeah, most people are boring, but most people also have a biological imperative to want to have affection and to have a chance of procreation. So being a nice person doesn't make you a bad person. What I objected to is the notion that most guys who are nice are just faking it for sexual access. That is patently false. And it's just shaming. It's a shaming tactic for people to be able to dump on those guys so that we can feel comfortable with their sorrow. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with dunking on those guys. We should be helping those guys. If we help those guys, and women have a larger pool to choose from of decent men that they're actually attracted to.
I think the frustration is from the expectations thing, where they have a different set of but like the idea that if I don't get what I want within a specific time period, I immediately turn and become mean. So like where it makes it like if I'm like steel manning it from the woman's perspective, like where this person was incredibly nice to me, they didn't get this by date number 2 or number 3, so now they act like an entire person entirely, and it's that has to disappoint you after a while. It's kind of like if a fan, like I can tell, like they're gassing me up and they're talking about how amazing all the stuff that I do is. I love Right to Repair, I love everything you do, I watch all your videos, and it's like, so how much would it be to repair this? And I'm like, $100 plus tax. Like, $100, man, what? I love your stuff. Like I honestly didn't understand a lot of what women complained about until I obtained accidental internet fame. But like I think a lot of it is in the same. It's like it's in the same area, even if it's completely different from a gender perspective. Like,
I mean, but men go through it too, but just in a different way.
Yeah, like you start getting gassed up, and then you realize, like the moment you don't give them what they want, the personality immediately turns, and it's something about it that's just kind of.
Do you mind if I tell the story right quick?
By all means,
right on that point. Right on that point. So I was, definitely one of those guys that was definitely a simp type of guy. But of course, what do you expect when you are raised by a single mother, raised by a bunch of women, no father in the picture? Father is not particularly useful for a large chunk of my life. He's been useful in my adult years, but not in my formative years. So I met a girl in high school about a week before the Twin Towers fell. So I really want you guys to understand this from a timing perspective. It is now 2023. I met this woman when we were teenagers in high school. Okay. So it was, I think I made it very clear that I was into her. I've mentioned it over the years, and she chose the so-called, she chose the so-called, bad boy type, and that's okay. I don't, I stuck with her for over 20 years as a friend. But here's where it happened. When I started my podcast over a year ago, uh, I realized that it is really important for men not to just offer everything that women value to women while asking for nothing in return. And I think that our society really tries to drive that point home that, women should be able to ask for anything, and then men should be able to ask for nothing. And so what I've been, really telling these guys is you don't just give away the stuff that is valuable to the other person without getting something that you actually value. And if the value doesn't align, walk away. But what I didn't understand is that when I had this woman that I was in love with for 20 years, through all the bad decisions that she made, all of the things that she's been through, everything that I've been through, I still love this woman. But then a situation happened a little bit over a year ago where I recognized that she was playing the simp in her relationship with another man, taking care of this other guy's kid, special needs kid, the whole nine, right? She's simping for this guy while he's out chasing other women. And she's still staying in this relationship. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't want to disrespect the relationship because that would be wrong. But as a friend of 2 decades, I'm not really comfortable with her being treated in the way that she's treated, because she's giving him everything he values and not getting back the things that she valued. And I had a problem with that. So I kind of let it sneak out like, hey, I don't know what you're getting out of this relationship. You're giving him all of these benefits, and what are you getting out of it? Fast forward 2 months later, I look on social media and I get the sense that there is a major life change. 2 months later, I didn't hear a word from this woman. So I text her, hey, I get the feeling that something major has happened. Yeah, I'll call you. Doesn't call. I call her damn near 11 o'clock at night. Oh, well, the reason why I didn't call and let you know what was going on is because, I didn't know quite what to say to you. So, I value you so much. Yeah. And then so I let her talk. Yeah. And, I found this new guy because, I moved away from the old guy. And then I quickly learned how to contact this new guy who I'm fucking. Oh, and by the way, I'm still going back to the other spot where I have to drive a long distance. Still fucking the old guy that was giving me all those problems. And then it dawns on me, I'm a fucking simp and I don't even know it. She's actually hidden in a blind spot. I can't even get a fucking text back when I actually care about her well-being. But she feeds me this empty platitude about how much she values me. And the reason why I just didn't know what to say. But you knew what to say to that guy, and you knew what to do with that guy. So I started thinking to myself, why am I giving her all of this more psychological support and emotional support? I got a better idea. Why don't you get your support from the motherfuckers you're fucking? How about that? Let's try that for size. See, I believe that everybody should give value for value, and that goes in both directions, right? But for me, I'm the guy that stuck by you for 20 years. I can't even get a text back to know that you're okay, but you knew how to find another pole to ride on. You knew how to contact that guy. And while I'm talking on the phone and I'm actually letting this information go through my mind, it hits me. This will be the last phone conversation we will ever have. Now, she could tell that something was different about the conversation. Like my whole everything just changed. My whole demeanor changed. She could tell over the phone because she's known me for over 20 years. But I realized in that moment that she did not value me the same way that I valued her. And with that incongruency is an incompatibility. And the most respectful thing to do is take your leave. So as I'm listening to her talk, kind of in and out, because like I'm running through a bunch of information and putting two and two together and recognizing that I'm the fucking idiot, not her. She's not the bad person. It was me. I allowed this situation to happen as it happened. So I think to myself, you know what? I'm going to give her as much of the wisdom as I can for the rest of this conversation. This will be the last time we speak. Now, normally on a good year, I might get 2 calls a year from her. But after I made that decision, about maybe 6 weeks later, my phone goes off and it's her calling. I just stared at the phone while it rang, because that's what I do. If any of you know me personally and I don't pick up the phone and you're not Lewis or somebody else that I like really enjoy talking to, if it goes to voicemail during the middle of the day, chances are I just stared at the phone because I don't want to turn the ringer off and then you know that I rejected your call. But I just stared at it. I just stared at it. And then I got a text from her that I did not read. And then I got another call. And another call. And another. So Mrs. Evil goes on social media a couple of days later and she says, I'm telling her about this conflict because I love this woman dearly and I don't want to just drop her like a bad habit. But in order for me to show that I actually value myself, I'm going to have to drop this woman. I have to. Not because I want to, because it was painful. When I made that decision, the last time I spoke to her, it caused me pain. I feel pain, emotional pain, talking about it right now. It's a sore point for me. But when I made that decision, she says, she goes, she posted something on Narcigram about how when you see somebody on social media, but they don't pick up the phone. Oh, she was talking about you, right? I was like, oh, that's interesting. See, you could just go months and not contact me. That's fine. But the minute that I don't just hop up and just give you my non-sexual attention when you think that you're entitled to it, all of a sudden it's a problem. Now you want to talk about me on social media. Right? So when I figured out that she actually thought that she was entitled to my attention and the value wasn't actually real, that's when I was like, okay, even though I love this woman, I got to let her go. And Mrs. Evil is like, when you talk to her, she doesn't even like follow or listen to the advice that you give her. And she just makes bad decisions anyway. Why are you wasting your energy on her? Like in our relationship, you're not out there chasing all the women out there, but why are you giving so much of your emotional energy and your sexual lust, your fantasy? Why are you giving that to her when she's already proven she's not worth that? And I was like, oh shit, she's right. But even to this fucking day, oh yeah, and then like a couple of weeks ago, she started going on my social media. And I have not spoken to this woman over a year. Then she went on my social media and started leaving scorned, sarcastic comments on social media posts from 6 years ago. Wasn't doing any of that before. But when I decide that I'm going to value myself and not just give away what you value from somebody that you obviously really don't value that much, because even when there's a situation where a major life change has happened, I can't get a text, but a new dude is blowing your back out. You know how to call and text some people when you want to. That was a very, very difficult realization for me. And this is from a person that I don't struggle with women. I'm good. But even I had this blind spot where I allowed people to get from me when they don't want to give anything, they don't put any effort in. So, you could say, oh, but, you're not entitled to this or that. Well, that's the fucking point. She's also not entitled to this or that. None of us are entitled to anybody's anything. And I already knew that, but then this situation kind of confirmed that for me.
I think everybody has like one blind spot, like just for one person, not for a bunch, but like for one person. Yeah. God knows I did.
Yeah.
There's
orbiting
one
is
person
extremely unproductive. Tadano, thumbs up on that comment. Thumbs up. Right. And I'm man enough to admit, yo, I've had some blind spots in my life. I've simped pretty fucking hard in my time. Right. But I've learned a lot of lessons from a lot of the mistakes that I made. I'm pretty sure, Lewis, you've learned from some mistakes you've made, have you not?
Yes, I learned from a mistake that I made. It was comically pathetic how close I was to doing the exact same thing again. And like, nope. Yep. Like you know how close I was to
women don't understand how romantic we men think about women, especially the women that we put on a pedestal. They have no idea. Like, a lot of our analytical thought goes out the fucking window. You guys have no idea. You guys see the most intelligent, analytical guy when Lewis gets on here. You see it all the time. But if I mention a particular woman's name, or she texts, or she sends an email, oh my God. Oh my God.
Whether it's 2011 or 2021, the same result occurs. If she were to
2022, even in 2022, summer 22.
Pretty much. Oh, we're thinking of two different people, actually.
Yo, like, dudes be simping, son. Goddamn, right? But the thing is, women simp too, right? I was just watching another live stream before I got on here with you. And, I was explaining to somebody about how, women have a lot of boundaries. But when they meet that guy, and every woman knows he's that guy, all those rules go out the window. Oh, I would never share a man. Oh, I would never do a threesome. Oh, I would never go below. Oh, I would never bend over and spread my cheeks. Oh, I would never do this, never do that. And then Leonardo DiCaprio shows up and, all those rules go out the window.
Things immediately change.
Right? So, women have their version of simping too. But again, ladies, I'll tell you the same fucking thing. I just had a discussion with a close female friend of mine last night where, the type of guy that she's into, she's going back and forth with this guy. He won't stop messing with other women, though. You know why? Because he doesn't have to. Because he's pre-selected. It's not just you that wants him. All the other chicks that wants him, as evidenced by the fact that he won't stop messing around with all these other chicks. And she's like, well, I want him to just be with me. Well, guess what? All the chicks do. And I said, if that guy wasn't my height and looking the way that he does, because she likes the tall guys, right? The tall black guys. She's a tiny, little Jewish girl, but she loves the black guys, the tall ones. She thinks that he's super attractive. She's all about that, right? But I said, would you put up with this kind of bullshit from a dude that was 5'7"? She said, no. We know that. So women have their version of simping too.
Very true.
So I don't understand why we're denigrating. Again, this is the revenge of the nerds thing, right? Those guys are bad because they found a way to get the cheeks. They found an intelligent way to get the cheeks, and people are mad. Oh, but there's one more thing. Didn't you say something about the fact that people were complaining about this whole scheme because it excluded the unattractive women?
Yeah, they said that the professor appeared to be saying that there was that they were only asking certain people if they wanted free tutoring.
And that's a problem because why? Why?
Because that means that life is not fair, and life is supposed to be fair, especially in a college, especially if you're a young woman.
But life when is those not fair, women and you learn that all very chase quickly. The same 12 guys on a campus with 1,200 guys. But that's fair though, right? Because they want what they want, and they should never have to settle, and right?
Life is not fair. You will quickly learn that life is not fair. It's
Yeah.
best to learn that lesson while you're still in college, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I like computers. My boss also likes computers. He's worth $1.4 billion. I'm not. Like, life's not fucking fair. I mean, I don't understand why people expect it to be. I mean, now again, if this was a situation, this, to be clear, make it separate. If these were tutors that worked for the school, so they were like paid by the school, and their
Oh,
job was to
Lewis, do me
serve
one
people.
do me one favor, Lewis.
What?
Can you star Lavaris's comment? I want to come back to that later. Just star that for later.
This one?
Yeah, just star that comment. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
But continue. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
like,
want to lose that comment.
if this is somebody that works at the school and their job is to tutor people in the order that they are received, like, I don't know, they had a system where, like, if you haven't gotten in trouble with the school, or you're the first one to request it, or these are your grades and this is our system, and they were saying, nah, screw the system that we have, we are going to just tutor the girls that are hot, by all means, get in trouble with the university. But these are people that are choosing to tutor people for free on their own fucking time.
Right.
Like,
Now, when the girls say they only are gonna fuck the football team and the basketball team, does anybody have a problem with that? Like,
that is the way
are
of
we
the
gonna have
world.
a Title IX? We're gonna have a Title IX complaint because she won't get with the nerd that can't bench 225. Because for me, like, I keep hearing about equality all the time. It's got to be equal, right?
Equal and fairness.
Yeah.
I mean, life is not fair to everybody.
Yeah. Life is not fair to anybody.
Like, doors will open for certain people,
And how I feel. Like, that I'm an economic leftist. Why? Because too much of our wealth is piled way, way, way at the top. And the wealth that's at the top is earned by the people at the bottom. But you know what? Just like you said, Lewis, life ain't fair. And I ain't got to like it. And I don't like it. I don't have to like it. But it's the fucking truth. And I got to deal with reality the way it is. And you know what? When I was younger, I used to complain about gold diggers. I am a champion for gold diggers now. Get whatever you can get. Whatever you value, get what you can get. Nobody can tell you not to want what you want as a woman. Just don't complain if you don't get it. Because, what did you just say, Lewis?
Life is not fair.
Oh, there you go.
As the cat that's not getting greenies is quickly figuring out.
I hear him in the background too. Oh, man.
What does it say in the post that the ugly women cared about not being tutored? Okay, it didn't use the word ugly, but it did say that certain people were being asked. But let me just read it over just to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Yeah.
Let's see.
FRD is 100%.
Some of the young
correct.
students in my classes take up these offers, and this further demoralizes the other female students seeing this happen, i.e. only attractive women being offered tutoring sessions.
That sounds discriminatory to me. And I don't have a problem with it. You know why? Because women are very discriminate too when it comes to who they want to sleep with. And they deserve that right because they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with their sexual choices.
Again, if they work for the university, by all means, hang them out to dry, fire them.
Oh yeah, fire them. Hell yeah.
But this is somebody choosing what they want to do in their own personal time. We discriminate like crazy on what we choose to do or who we choose to associate with in our own personal time.
Right. Hannah asks, tutoring equals sleeping with. So it's so to kind of reiterate what this whole thing is about. There was a 21st century online version of a Revenge of the Nerds type scheme.
She heard my first stream. She heard my hour-long rant
did
already. Yeah, she watched it.
So the thing is, they were only tutoring the women that they feel that it was kind of like a quid pro quo, so to speak. Like, I'm going to give you the stuff that you value, which is this tutoring, with the expectation that they can get close to them to try to get some sort of affection going in the opposite direction. They weren't looking for hot women to just make them more intelligent. Like, they wanted something in return as well, just like everybody does. Everybody wants something in return for what they have to offer.
To quote the student, he said, "I'm doing it for laughs and phone numbers."
And what do phone numbers lead to?
Car crashes.
God damn it, man. God damn it. And it is not a secret that young men like attractive young women. That is not a secret. Not a secret at all. Can you flash that other comment that I asked you to star?
Which one? Oh, the one okay, I got
Yeah.
it. Yes. Where'd you go?
That's why I love StreamYard.
This one.
Yeah. What is Lewis and Evil's thoughts on Passport Bros?
I don't know what that
Go
is.
ahead first. Okay, so I'll take this. So, for those that don't know, Passport Bros, it is a social movement where men who are not getting what they would like in the dating market have said, "Fuck it, we're going to go overseas to find the kind of relationships that they seek." So, in the United States, the perception of the dating market is women in the top 80%, meaning women that are twos all the way to tens, have very, very high asking prices. They require that you be over 6 feet tall, have six pack abs, make at least six figures every year, preferably more than that. And they want you to be able to offer all of these things. And when the guy says, well, what do I get in return for all of that? They're like, well, I don't owe you shit because I'm a strong, independent woman and I don't need no man. And, I don't have to offer you anything that you value because I don't care, because I know what I deserve, because Instagram told me that I deserve the mansion and the yachts and all the stuff. And if you got singers saying that if you can't buy you a Birkin bag, to no, don't talk to them. And they don't want no scrubs and ain't nothing going on but the rent, all this stuff. So the guys are like, okay, we'll leave you alone. We don't qualify for what you want, so we'll just go other places where women are a little bit more traditional, a little bit more reasonable in what they're asking for. And then perhaps maybe I can find a relationship, maybe even find a wife that I can have a family with. Maybe I'll find that overseas. The problem with that is that you don't really know where you're going. You don't know who you're going to meet, because, they could make it seem as if they're the world's nicest woman that is going to take care of you, but she could be playing you too. Or any number of things can go wrong when you go into a foreign country and deal with other women. So I think that the perception is that the dating market is not really meant for the guy that's between maybe a 4 and a 7. On dating apps, consistently on all dating apps, women swipe left. Women swipe right on guys 5% of the time, consistently across all dating. And the things that they ask for are either in the top 20% or the top 2%. So, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, so her comment: if only over 6 feet guys get picked, there wouldn't be all these married men that are shorter and broker.
Right. So there is a large disconnect between the generation that's younger, that is below the age of 40, and the dudes that are over the age of 40. The guys who are over the age of 40 lived in a time before social media where you see these guys living like these lavish lifestyles, and you see the women that they have there with them, and then the women kind of put themselves in a position of the women that are there. We didn't have that we didn't have that 10 years ago. So the dating market has changed for a lot of guys under the age of 40, and a lot of them have had struggles in the dating market even prior to that, but they just keep trying and they keep failing. So now the movement has started to really explode now, where they're like, well, if everybody that I'm coming across just doesn't want to deal with me straight up, or won't even choose me at all, and I go to this other country and the women treat me nicely, what kind of an idiot would I be to stay here when I can go there and be treated the way I want to be treated? So, it's anecdotal stuff where people point to these things and that things, but the problem is that the passport bro movement is growing. So I would probably pay attention to where the trends are going, rather than to point to these people over here that are not having the problem that they're having. these guys over here not having the problem that they're having doesn't solve the problem that these guys are having. So these guys are like, you know what? I'm just going to go elsewhere. And I believe that everybody should go where they are appreciated. Go where you're appreciated. Okay. My first lady is a woman from my city, right here, born right here in the United States. My second lady is from a foreign country in the Far East. Right. So I'm not a passport bro. I'm definitely not going to denigrate a man going out there and getting what he deserves as long as he's not taking advantage of anybody. He's not violating anyone. Now, the thing that I hear about the pushback that I'm seeing on the passport bros mainly come from women who had these guys as, simp beta male orbiters, and now those guys are leaving. So their fallback plan for when they age out of the consideration from the hottest guys that they always keep chasing. Now your B plan has now gone to another country like the Philippines or Brazil or Colombia. And now you want to shame them from going there. But it's like, well, oh, they only want you for your money. Well, you only want me for my money too. What's the difference? But at least my experience with that girl is going to be a pleasant one. But with you, probably can't say the same. Because I'm going to hear all of this about how you don't owe me anything and how you won't do anything for me and you're not going to do this. And, you're strong and independent and don't need no man and all of this feminism stuff. And I hate men and all this other stuff. And it's like, well, why deal with that? That chick doesn't feel the way you feel about me. That chick don't feel that way about me. I'm just going to go over there. So, I mean, you can not like it, but it's the reality. When people,
I don't really care what somebody else chooses to do to find happiness.
Right.
I personally don't want to leave the country to.
Right, but when women say that I'm going to get what I want and I don't care, everybody says, "Wow, great, go out and get what you want." Right? When they say, "Oh, these guys are flying me out," guys paying for plane tickets, expensive plane tickets, so that women can come to them, and then the women are like, "No, I'm not going to sleep with you." Right? Like the women are like, I'll stamp my passport, but if you do it, nah, you're bad. No. A lot of the guys, they're done with the shaming. The shaming doesn't work anymore. The guys are going to do what they want to do, and if you're mad about it, oh well.
I'm neutral. I don't think I think the part that's the hardest is essentially to do that. You have to admit that within I don't know how many people you'd say that are like over the age of, let's say, 22 or something, like between, let's say, 22 and 35 or something in the US. But all of those women, let's say 40 or 50 million, there's none. Like, you'd have to admit that in order to go elsewhere. I don't think I'd be able to do that. I think I'd feel bad about myself if I tried.
Why?
Like I have to start fresh somewhere else because there's 50 million people here, but I can't get a single one of them. Like that would depress the crap out of me.
Maybe it's not that you can't get a single one of them, but they don't measure up to your standards for the woman that you want to procreate with.
Yeah, that's why I'm neutral.
So you see how we are already biased against ourselves? You use language to say that you are worth less to those people, but what about the women? And remember, we've had these conversations. What about the women that have tried to get your attention? You're like, nope, you have these traits, not going to work. Why is it that, of the 50 million women, I can't get one of them? Why are we phrasing it that way? Because that's the way we look at men. We've been preconditioned to look at ourselves as less than. Right? Like, I believe there was a chick that you was talking to who is American, but was living in another country. Is that not the case, Louis?
I played the fifth for purposes of privacy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, it's just, it is what it is, man. And the thing is, these guys work hard. People say,
I don't have a problem with them doing it. I just don't, I can't imagine doing it outside of an extraordinary circumstance. Like if I met somebody on a work trip or something, that would be different than me like actively seeking it out. But in order to actively seek it out, I'd have to admit, okay, there's like 40 or 50 million people here and they're all in no. Mm-hmm. And I just can't imagine that would be the case. Or like admitting that that's the case would hit me hard.
Yeah, I agree with you because I'm of the belief, and passport bros don't believe this, but here's where I disagree with the passport bros. A lot of them believe that most women in America are not worth dealing with. And I disagree. I think that there is a 50% plus one at the very least, but we don't give attention to the women who are worth it in our society because our brains are wired to hold on to negative experiences and negative observations more than the positive ones. So there's an assumption that, well, from these guys, you're like, well, these women are just not dealing with, I'm just not going to mess with American women. But I've met plenty of American women who are good women. I've met plenty of bad ones too. But I believe that there is a greater than 50%, but we don't give them their attention. You know why? Because the best women are not attention seekers. But we let social media tell us who women are. And that's a problem. We let social media say, well, all women want this because you saw this in a TikTok video or on Narcigram or on Facebook or on Twitter. But the large group of women who are not on social media, just living lit lives, and they were told that real men are supposed to approach them. But social media told men don't approach women because that means that you're a harasser and you're a catcaller. And these women are just sitting there, traditional women in the country, invisible, and they're not going to say anything. They're not going to speak up. So I have to agree with you there, Lewis, but I'm definitely not going to denigrate those guys. But then I got to ask you this, Lewis, how many times are you going to deal with some chick that annoys the shit out of you before you start trying to do something different? That's the question.
No more of that. I was this close to driving to one of those the other day and I turned around.
No more of that. Driving to what?
Well, no more driving, period, until I fix my rim. But
yeah.
yes,
Hannah Anderson asked, what is a traditional woman? A traditional woman is a woman with traditional values. A woman that values raising her own kids, that values supporting the man that provides for her. And she's the opposite of a boss babe. And a lot of people need to understand this about men. Men don't choose women based upon the traits that women choose men. I know society wants men to be just like women. We never will be. And so the traits that women value in men are not the same traits that men value in women. So when women are going out there fiercely independent and I make my own money and I'm a boss, we're not attracted to that. That's not what we're attracted to. And no amount of shaming and social conditioning is going to make that any different. We value beauty and we value fertility and we value cooperation. We value women that are nice to us without us having to constantly put our lives on the line or give them things. That's what we value. We don't value how much money you make or how many businesses you own where you're selling weaves and fake eyelashes. Don't care. We don't care how many followers you have on Narcigram. We don't care for those things. Those are not things that we choose women on. And no amount of shaming is going to change that.
How many people have you met that sell fake eyelashes?
Well, you know what community I'm from, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I see more of that in my community, where you find out that when this woman says she owns businesses, she's a hairstylist and sells weaves and fake eyelashes and stuff online. And
I
it's
think
like,
the only definition I would have
wow.
for the T word is somebody that doesn't look at me and think that I'm evil because I want to have children. Like that, maybe the bar has gotten low for that word for me, but
Yeah, because the thing is, our standards as men are always supposed to be low. Only women are allowed to have high standards, Louis. So, so here's the thing, right? She says, we don't want men to be just like women. Nothing wrong with making your own money. But the thing is, you guys think that it is a perk or a bonus or something that is going to attract us to you. And what is more, because the thing is, a woman making a lot of money is not a problem. It's just that when a woman makes a lot of money and then she tries to show that she is just as good or just as strong and she has this competing attitude towards the man, that's going to turn us off. See, my first lady makes 6 figures. She clears 6 figures. But you know what she doesn't do? She doesn't come with this masculine attitude of, well, I'm an independent boss babe. She doesn't come with none of that. So you making money is not the problem. It's the attitude that frequently comes with women that make a lot of money. That attitude is the problem.
I had a discussion on a date that I went to on Freda's Seafood and Grill, where they have the best filet mignon and mushroom risotto I've ever eaten in my life.
Is it
And
in Austin?
yes, it's beautiful. It's
Okay, so I'm
absolutely
gonna
beautiful.
go there. I'm gonna go there
Yes,
with you.
you don't need a passport to come here and try it. By the way, it's amazing. But I'm having this conversation similar to this, and she had said, "Oh, like you don't, you don't care about the amount of money made or anything like this." And I said, "Not one bit." And she goes, "I mean, well, like, why not?" And I said, "Because you're not going to spend it on me." And she started laughing.
Hello.
She started laughing at me because this conversation was coming up right as I was paying for dinner. It's like I don't care.
What the fuck do I care about your money if I can't spend it? Because I do
Even if I
know.
could, it just feels weird. I mean, you're not supposed to say that out loud, but it feels weird.
You know
It
what's
just
weird?
feels weird.
I've actually heard women who make six figures say that they would date a guy who makes 60 or 70,000, but he's still got to pay for everything. And I was just like, what? What sense does that make? Doesn't make any sense. But they're like, well, the man is supposed to pay. You know, that's his job. I'm like, okay, well, all right, cool.
My thing is, I think there was like a long time ago where that's really all you had to do. Like 75 years ago, that was really it. I mean, you have to think about it. It wasn't until I think the early 1980s that women could have credit cards.
It looks like Hannah and I have reached an understanding. If you want to flash her comment up there, we've reached an understanding.
I find domineering braggarts boring no matter what gender they are.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, for real. And then the thing is that men have to go, the natural language that men speak is the language of competition. So when we go out there and we look another man in the eye, there is a competition going that is, somewhere in the back of the mind. It's instinctual. We don't want that in our relationships with women.
Carrie's trolling you.
Because if we really wanted that kind of spirit, then we just date men. And if you look at gay men relationships and gay women relationships, the quality of those relationships cannot be compared. Gay men are winning. So, that's my, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, Carrie, she's definitely trolling. But I still got love for you anyway. Thank you for supporting the platform.
Mel, yes. True.
I've been holding it off. I've been holding off. Like my hairline has only had taken damage because of barbers that keep trying to push my hairline back. I'm like, the fuck, man. The fuck. So, oh yeah, and making fun of me because I'm wearing a beanie indoors. My hair looks like shit, and so I'm not going to offend all of you with how horrible my hair looks right now.
My hair looks like shit, but I use creative lighting to make sure you can't see it, so I look bald instead. See, like if I get my hair right over here, I'm bald. Like right here. Zoom in on that spot. See, it just disappears into the darkness.
Oh,
no, but in all seriousness, on the job thing, like I've had, I had a woman that was my girlfriend a while back. Like, say when I was talking about having kids, well, what about my career? And I remember just going, I didn't even think about this. I just knew that I wanted to have kids. Like, what's the point of making money? What's the point of doing all this shit if I'm just gonna, throw it in a ditch in my backyard or leave it to Apple? I don't know. Like, it seems utterly useless. I mean, my plan was always to be
your next of kin.
Yeah, my plan was always to structure my career around having the ability to be a stay-at-home dad. And like, if I have the choice of marrying, let's say if I have the choice of 100 women, and these women say I would like to be a stay-at-home mom as you're a stay-at-home dad, and these women say I would like to work filing papers for a publicly traded company so that I can make $90,000 a year, I'm going to take those ones.
The ones that make $90,000 a year?
No, the ones that said like I'd like to stay home and parent the kid with you.
Yeah.
Like I'd like to be a stay-at-home dad. One thing I learned from my dad is like the benefit, because he said, there's so many things that kids do where they say they have an issue, or they have a question, they have a problem, and they say, okay, I'm going to wait to ask dad at 7:00, and then 6 hours pass and they just forget what that was. And like, I
Mhm.
want to be there for my kid in that moment to be able to say that. And that's a
Right.
big part of why I save up all the money that I save and build everything that I do, so that when that day comes, I can be there for the entire process. It's the
Right.
choice. Like, I don't
Right.
want to, I don't want my kid to not, and like, again, if I have a choice between somebody, it's not that I don't think you should have a career. It's just if I have a choice between somebody who is going
Mhm.
to add $90,000 a year to the household, or somebody who will be able to be there with me to parent my child, I
You'd
much
rather the
more
parent.
value the person who will be there to parent the child, because like, again, I spent my 20s going bald, so I'd have the money to be able to do that when I'm in my
Exactly.
later 30s.
Yeah, see, women just show all the time that they do not understand A, how men think, or B, what men value.
Sorry, I interrupted. This sounds like cope. I mean, this would
Yeah,
be cope if I was saying it. I don't think this.
but the thing is, he's attacking me because I still have all my hair.
That's cope. I know.
Yeah, he's attacking me.
I don't have testosterone, but
Uh,
I also don't have hair. It's lose lose.
oh my God, and that's a fucking lie. But when I look at the conversations, especially online and in mixed company, I see constantly that there is a massive disconnect where women do not understand how men think or value how men think or care what men think. Is usually one of the three things. And every time we say, well, this is the thing that we want, they pick at it and try to show everything that's wrong with it. But if we men did the same thing to them, well, I deserve what I want and I should never have to settle. And don't judge me for what I want because I have the right to and this, that, and the third, right? So it's kind of disappointing, but I'm willing to have the conversation and just continue to keep presenting the same information until people kind of understand that the things that you think that men should value is great. It's great that you think they should value these things. The reality will still be what it is. Men will still value what men value. And you will find an exception. Not every man values exactly the same thing. Just like not every woman demands that a man be 6 feet tall. But we men understand that if you're under 6 feet tall, your chances are much lower than a guy who's above 6 feet tall. We understand this and we don't complain. We don't complain about all the things that, we just, hey, like we talked about the passport bros. We're not going to sit here and complain that we can't find women in the country. We're just going to go someplace else to get what we're looking for. That's it. We're not going to have, a bunch of arguments or all that stuff. But, if you want to have, your views, like, cool, have your views. But reality still will be what it is. Men will still value value in women what they value. And it's never going to be what you think they should value. So you have a choice. If you're unmarried today and you're a woman today, and I'm not talking about anybody specific in the comment section, but if you're a woman today, you have a choice. You can find out what men want and try to offer as close to what they want as possible, because we men are very flexible because our standards are very low. Or you can keep talking about what men should value and you'll get the outcomes that you get.
Justin's comeback to Carrie is actually,
You said
that was
what?
kind of fun. Justin's comeback to Carrie was kind of funny.
Yeah. So I don't know, but
Okay, that kind of made me laugh. That actually made my.
Yeah. Can you put up Carrie's comment again? Because she makes a good point. I want to cover that. Women don't walk around with yardsticks. They say 6 feet, but what they mean is merely taller than me. This is somewhat accurate. I would say at least 50% accurate, I want to say. But again, and here's the thing, right? Did you guys notice in that comment what she just did? She took a sentence that we men actually hear out of women's mouths, and then she had to do what with it? She had to decipher the code. We men don't want to decipher codes. We just want to have relationships with women and move on with our goddamn lives.
I see a Tinder profile that says, by the way, I'm 5'11", so if your last swipe left, I just actually listened to them.
I'm
Maybe
six
that's
foot
autism.
three. I'm 6'3". When I see a woman that mentions anything about a height preference, I swipe left automatically. Because if you're choosing men based on height instead of based on character, you're not for me anyway. Even in because me, when I date outside the home, is for like casual relationships. I don't even want a casual relationship with a chick that would turn down somebody like Lewis because of his height. That's a boundary for me. I discriminate based upon mindset. But that's just me. A lot of guys over 6 feet are like, yo, I'll clap them cheeks. I don't care. But me, I care. That's an issue for me. Oh, can you put up Carrie's question? Because I love this question. Because I did my research. When I got my BMW Z4, I did the research because first thing I did was I went to my local Porsche dealership to sit in the Boxster because the Boxster is like, oh, I really, really wanted that car. I really want an orange Boxster, but that's neither here nor there. But when I did the research for all of the Roadster vehicles, the vehicle that was rated best for men 6 feet tall and above for leg room and space was the Z4. So I did my homework. I got a lot of bang for the buck, a lot of horsepower for the money, and a much better lease payment than with my Mercedes-Benz. So, yeah, that is why. That is why. And I love that car. Yeah, Boxsters are just. I think the Boxster. You guys can flame me in the comments. I think the Boxster has a sexier design language than the 911.
I think that's a Freudian slip based on this discussion, and I don't think it's a coincidence.
What do you mean?
Nope. Nothing. Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I got you. So, yeah, so it's all good, Joe. It's all love. But the thing is, I just think that, and I got to say this one last thing about anybody that's thinking about becoming a passport bro. And this is something that some of the Filipina YouTubers have talked about, which I think is really, really important. The women understand that the men of America are being denigrated on a daily basis. And they are welcoming of American men, especially black men. But they make it very, very, very clear. Do not go to their country looking to clap cheeks and leave girls feeling fucked up over there. Because what you're going to do is you're going to inadvertently create the same environment that you claim is so horrible where you're from, and then you're going to turn that society into the same society that you dislike. Don't go over there, saying sweet nothings and just trying to get in her pants and then get back on the airplane and go home after you've had your sexual fill. That's fucked up. If you're claiming that you want to date for real and you want to date towards marriage and you want a traditional woman, if you go over there and you get involved with those women, you better not shit on them, because you're going to make life harder for really everybody. You're making life harder for that woman. You're making the perception of American people, primarily men, just as bad over there as the perception is over here. So don't go over there looking to just do your sex tourism thing, right? If you're going to do your sex tourism thing, go to the women who are actually charging money for the services. But don't go over there taking these girls that they think you actually care about them, run through them, and then, leave them all fucked up. Don't do that. Fuck out of here with that.
I have a feeling that that's probably going to happen to a great degree, and then the cycle will repeat itself over and over again.
Yeah, Catherine said every car you could spit on the roof of when you stand is stupid. So that means almost every car I see is stupid. Because I stand above the roof of even my SUV.
I have to jump to touch the roof of my car.
Yeah.
Bali, Indonesia just passed a law where tourists and common people can't have sex outside of marriage.
They did.
Dubai had the same thing. Like until November of 2020, there was something where a man and a woman could not be alone in like a hotel or an apartment together unless they were married. It was against the law. And it's not like it's enforced very well, but.
Oh, Randall Smith talks about the money pits. You're correct about that, which is why I only lease vehicles. I just go get the latest and greatest whenever my lease goes out. So, yeah, I don't keep cars. I think that if I was able to get the Porsche Boxster 25th anniversary, the one that looks like the Batmobile, and I'm talking about Adam West's Batmobile, kind of looks like that. I would consider buying that car, but I don't I don't buy vehicles. I just, you know, I just love the latest and greatest because I don't know. I have expensive taste from living in abject poverty for, the beginning of my life. So I went
I,
out
bu-
there and got the things I did not have access to.
I buy and I
Not,
keep. I
yeah,
buy and I
yeah.
keep for 10 years, and I just duct tape it back together every time I drive it over ice. Actually,
Well, it looks like that axle's pretty fucked up, man.
need a little control arm, love. No big deal. $200. That's
I
for a
don't
new
know.
one. I could just duct tape it back together a little bit.
But
Put a little
Elon
formal
might put
coating.
a hex on you if you have anybody repair it other than
I know
a
somebody.
Tesla
I
dealer.
know somebody in Seabrook.
Is he
If you ever
Elon?
visit TikTok, I'd love to see you have a discussion with CK122. I've never got.
TikTok is trash. It is a toxic place. I will never download that app. I will never download Narcigram.
Once they were doing the thing with the app where it was tracking where your finger was pressing on your phone and stuff like that, that creeps the shit out of me. Like they're actually,
Yeah.
it tracks that application tracks every single thing you do, and it's not a meme. It's not like just the Google stuff where it's your location to make it a little bit faster to find you in maps. No, it's literally everything.
All right. Can you answer Hannah's question? Because I just want to see you squirm.
What did Lewis do to his car? I drove it on an unsalted road, Carrie. Drove it on an unsalted road.
And what happened when you drove on this unsalted road?
Oh, I have pictures in Discord you can look at. I'll post it.
God damn. Yeah,
I was
I
expecting it to be
I
an
have no
aquarium.
interest. I don't have any
I did,
interest
Space Click.
in.
I did. That's old news.
I
This
have
is old
no.
news.
I have no desire to go on TikTok. I think that it's it's like the dredges of society. It is taking us as a society downward. I have no interest in it whatsoever. So that's just my opinion on that. But if you really enjoy TikTok, then I hope that you continue to enjoy it.
I think what really depressed me about TikTok is not when that gym video got pointed out that that Charlie went over in
Mm-hmm.
his video, but it was the fact that that particular person, I think 220 or 260,000 subscribers. So like she cultivated that much of an audience over that.
I love how she kept talking about the only thing that she had to do to victimize herself was say, "I feel unsafe." I thought that was interesting. Justin, you're a savage.
They did get salty.
You're a
They got
savage.
salty very quickly.
White man, car can't drift.
Oh, I did some good streaming of drifting yesterday.
Oh my God, that was so savage.
Do you know how hard it is to get something with traction control and all-wheel drive to drift? It actually takes work. Like I learned how to do it, but it takes work. But yes, that is not what happened today.
Because
Today
repairs
was
are expensive.
ownage on a straight line.
He said gringo drift. That's going to be the next Fast and the Furious movie. Fast and the Furious 14, gringo drift. I would watch it though. Oh my God. But yeah, back to the title. I just think that again, like all of us, including myself included, we have an inherent psychological bias against men. And when you heard the professor talk about, it just feels like harassment, even though it's not harassment.
It seems like
it's just like
it's the same shit to me.
Yeah, we have to, like, let me give you an example that blew my mind, right? So on my platform, on the Talking Shit podcast, because we discuss a lot of crazy issues, we talked about this one particular lady cop that earned her community service award by smashing, how many dudes did she smash in her precinct? 12% of the precinct she smashed as a married woman. A married woman was smashing at least 6 of her fellow officers. And while we were talking about it, and we were taking the piss. While we were talking about it, one of my he's a savage, right? He's one of my favorite trolls in my community. He was like, he said something to the effect of, that there had to be, those cops had to have, the male cops had to have predated on her in some way. Now, she was riding the cock carousel very willingly because she was trying to draw people in. Her husband was like, nah, I'm not with this. Can you please stop having sex with all these other men? And she was like, nah, son, that dude has a big black beep. Okay, we're talking about, he has the British Broadcasting Company. Okay. And the assumption was, oh, those guys had to have forced her into it. And she's like, no, I was living my best life. And even the guys that are like, more respectful towards other men, even their first thought is, oh, she had to have been a victim in some way. And she's like, no, not at all. So, oh, Lavaris, yes. He said, I'm going to try to salvage my marriage. And she was given the deep throat in the precinct gym to a black cop on duty, and then went bragging about how big his dick was to everybody in the precinct.
I thought I never looked into this. I thought that had to be some sort of swinger couple or something.
No, they weren't. He kept confronting her about cheating, and then one of the white cops that she was smashing, she was kissing his wife in front of her husband and wanted him to join, but he wouldn't do it. He was like, no, I don't want to do that. He's also a sheriff's deputy. So he's also in law enforcement, not in the same precinct. And they basically said, well, he's the son of a pastor, and he doesn't believe in divorce and all this stuff. And she's riding the CC, man. She's riding the CC, and he can't stop her. And he's like, I'm going to try to salvage my marriage. I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. So it was just a thick blue circle jerk. I'm dead. I'm done. Oh my God. That's a wrap.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
Oh,
and Lavaris, you're right. Like,
he looks like what you would expect that person.
Yeah, she's a jelly bean head. Now, I gave her a 4 out of 10 because she's not like the most pretty in the face, but she's very fit. And she has bright eyes. I think that there's something about her eyes that I find I'm not gonna, no, don't go there. I'll leave that alone. I'm just gonna leave that alone. But let's just say she's tiny. I think in her in another life, she was on the casting couch.
I just looked for what the guy looked like, and I feel bad for him because of what happened, but also the fact that he looks like the type of guy that would happen to.
Yes, sir.
And that makes me so
yes, it's so true. It's so true.
I really hate that because he probably I hate that. It's
so true, man. It's so true. But the thing is, even guys, because like I said, we don't really, I have my own definition of what misogyny is. It's not the same as the prevailing dictionary, but we don't allow actual real misogyny on our platform. But we do speak from the male point of view, and we provide a community for men to come and air out their disagreements, especially with people.
She provided a forum for people to come. All right.
Right.
Oh,
and she kind of has like a jelly bean head, right? But a lot of guys are saying that she's a hard 3.
This is Hide the Pain Harold. No, but like how?
Said Hide the Pain Harold.
No, I mean like that's no. If we wait, no, I'm not crazy. No, it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. You see him, right?
Lavaris has got to be black. He's like, she's beautiful though. You got to be black, Lavaris. Can you confirm or deny?
Hide the Pain Harold, husband.
Oh no! I can't unsee it now. I did not know the name of that meme.
Hide the Pain?
I did not know the name of that meme.
Well, no, use this at work. This is what everybody looks like if they're employed here.
She has a round face, but I'm not getting the jelly bean reference. Well, jelly beans are round. That's what... Lavaris is black. I knew he was black. I knew it. I fucking knew it. me and Lavaris have an understanding. We have an understanding. Because I'm not saying that I would be seeking out her attention, but what I would say is I'm wearing a latex bodysuit. Take that as you will. Take that as you will.
This picture actually makes me sad. There's so much hope in that picture, and it just ends with hide the pain. This is so... Oh, God. Like, the more I zoom in, literally the more I zoom in, the more I feel sad. Fuck.
Yeah, she's not ugly. It's just that she has a jelly belly. You know, her head is the shape of a jelly belly. I mean,
this is
it's
literally
all right.
him. That's his grandpa right there.
But I wouldn't put her in the upper echelon, but I definitely would not decline the advance.
If she did that and she looked like Beyonce, I'm out.
I have to co-sign that.
Because, like, I mean, a part of me would want to say, no, let's make it work. But then there's the other part of me that, like, looks in the mirror, and it would just, like, it would beat me up senseless until I wanted to jump off a bridge every single day that I let it keep going.
Yeah, because people don't understand that condoms don't stop the herpes. So latex bodysuit it is. No skin on skin contact. No fluid exchange. Hell to the no. I don't know. Shit. Oh fuck. Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear it. But...
Hell to the no. To the no, 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 no. Hell no, no.
Midwest Elizabeth Holmes. Yes. Midwest Elizabeth Holmes. Yeah, that's the scam chick, right? Elizabeth Holmes is a scammer, right? What was the name of that fucking scam that she ran? Oh, I forgot the name of the fucking medical testing scam. The Rhinos, thank you. Yeah, she definitely fell off, Brian. But Elizabeth Holmes, when she was caught, I was like, damn, why does a woman so beautiful have to be such a scammer? But hey, she got filthy fucking rich. I think she still has a lot of money for when she gets out of prison too. So, and that scam might have actually been worth it for her in the end, because she's still doing a damn thing. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm curious what you think of this comment on that professor's post, going back to the original subject.
Can you put it
so
up?
It says, my suggestion is to just manage this calmly and sensibly until it fizzles out with time. Keep an eye on class behavior and intervene where necessary to keep things professional. Schemes like this tend to fizzle out on their own because of laws in supply and demand and dating pool. The scheme initially attracts a large number of eager young men. Some of them are socially awkward and try too hard, putting off women they try to attract. The small number of more suave and desirable young men will probably get dates and then remove themselves and their partners from the dating pool, or they won't be there in the first place because they're already able to meet women successfully without the aid of a scheme. Once that happens, the remaining ones will likely flounder about without success until they give up and leave. In regards to this, it's notable that there are hundreds of social areas and activities where women greatly outnumber men. Yoga classes, craft fairs, Tori Amos concerts, but any of these could potentially be targeted by young men wanting to put themselves in proximity to many eligible women. The fact that such activities do not even out for their gender participation due to hopeful young men seeking dates shows that this is generally not something that works well enough to constitute an amazing new discovery. Young male engineers are nothing if not practical and empirical, so if they find that their efforts to woo young women in this environment have low success rate, they'll adjust their method accordingly or just get bored and start working on another project.
He's absolutely correct.
If I'm wrong, and this scheme actually does turn out to be some amazing new discovery which solves romantic needs of young men, then you have yourself some budding tech billionaires in your midst. Disregarding the cultural and social aspects, I can't help but be impressed by the cleverness of designing a dating app using diversity, equity, and inclusion data. Very entrepreneurial stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But the thing is that only women are allowed to hatch schemes to extract stuff of value from men. Only women are allowed to do that in our society, because she's empowered. But if a man tries to fulfill his biological imperative by the means that he has available to him without violating her, he's still, a creep, and he's still all of that stuff. So, but I think that is true. Men in general, not just the engineering grade intelligence men, but men in general, work off of what is more likely to be successful. So when women say, well, there are some short men that are married, that does really nothing for us, because that's not how we analyze these things. We don't think of things in the light of what's possible, because it is possible that I can win the lottery, but that cannot be my strategy for getting wealthy.
There's what's
or
possible
retirement.
and there's what's probable, and people, and like
Right.
I can't speak for everybody, but I focus on what is probable, not what is possible, because
Yeah.
who cares about what is possible?
Yeah.
Like, I can't live my life based on what is possible.
Right. Brian Moyna makes a good point. Women paying child support go mental, although it's fair. But the thing is, the vast majority of people paying child support, more than 9 in 10, are men. But when men are paying the child support, is the outcry among women the same? When women have to pay palimony, in the few cases where they actually do have to pay it in the event of a divorce, we hear about how he should just not be a bum and go get a job. And I agree. But why haven't we also told the women to do that? No, they're going to extract as many resources they can from the man that they're looking to divorce. So why is it okay for one to do it, but not the other?
This response to that answer infuriates me. I disagree. Even if no individual is engaging in harassing behavior, the sum total effect on the women in question of a large amount of non-harassing behavior can amount to harassment. So if there's a lot of non-harassing behavior, at the end of the day, this can become harassment. If there's a lot of non-harassing behavior.
Let me ask you this question, Lewis. Ask you this question.
What's 0 plus 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 0? Where's the answer to that? What is 0 plus 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 0?
Let me ask you this question. Even behavior that is not harassing adds up to harassment.
And
so
would
when
have the
women
same
go on
impact
the
as
internet and post their half-naked bodies to get likes, and they get hundreds of thousands of likes, is that harassment? Because that's a lot of non-harassing behavior, right? That doesn't make any fucking sense.
That's cope.
Can you highlight Hannah's comment? Because I think
this one makes me want to cry. I was trying to avoid highlighting this comment.
No, I'm not that one.
I'm fully aware, Hannah. I'm fully aware.
Next one. Yeah, so we have a problem with because one of the things I really dislike in engage in Discord, and when people try to use gotcha schemes. This is not about you being right and me being wrong, or vice versa. So I'm going to go through this again. You just said men want traditional women. Now you were saying expect them to go get a job and pay child support. You can't have it both ways. That is not what we're talking about here. That's not what we're talking about here. You're talking about women who are looking to divorce men. Traditional women are not looking to divorce men. So we're not talking about those women. We're talking about women who talk all of this modern woman stuff, but then when the divorce happens and they get a chance to run the man's pockets and take over his house, his car, take his kids, and withhold visitation and all of that stuff, whatever the government will allow them to do, they're going to do. So I'm not talking about the traditional women that don't believe in divorce, like the cuck sheriff's deputy guy whose wife was getting ran through in the precinct. That guy is a little bit too traditional, but it is what it is. So it's just, we're not talking about those types of women. We're talking about the ones that are looking to run a man's pockets in a divorce and for child support. So when the woman makes more money, she gets upset when she has to pay it. But that woman is not upset when the man has to pay it. So if you are a person that believes in equality, then you should want it to be equal if all of the pertinent factors and traits of the situation are equal. The woman makes more money than the man, and the marriage dissolves.
What are the categories for this? Because you have traditional. I think you have traditional. You have person who takes you for everything you want, and then there's like this large chasm that's unspoken for here.
Right, because I think we spend too much time again I think that the conversation is so focused on the women that men dislike that it just takes up so much of the conversation where it ends up appearing as if the belief is that all women, that it applies to all women. And I'm on record as saying that I believe that there is a greater than 50% chance, there's a greater than 50% amount of women in our society, as modern as it is. I think that most women are worth dealing with. In whatever way that you feel that you can get compatibility, I think that there are more women that are worth dealing with than not. But when you're talking about a certain subsection of women, and the way that I see it is, if you get offended when we talk about that certain subsection of women, it makes me think, well, is this an issue where you think that some of these traits apply to you? And I'm talking about you because I don't know you. I don't know you from a hole in the wall. So I can't possibly be talking about you. But we're talking about people who say, wow, that woman took that man for everything that he's worth. You go get him, girl. You take him for everything he's worth. But the same people that say that, when the woman has much more money than the man and then he gets palimony, oh, he's just a bum. He should just go get a job. Do you want equality or do you not? Me personally, my version of equality is a little bit different than the typical man's and the typical woman. And in my house, we deal with things a certain way, right? The only thing that I can tell you is the majority of men see things like this. And you can be mad about it. You can call them, you can say that, they spend a lot of time massaging knees, and that is your choice.
How do we get to hear from this comment, though?
You said what?
How do we get to that from this comment?
I don't know. But I think that anytime that you point out any deficiency in women, it's automatically you hate women. But the thing is that this deficiency does not apply to even most women. So if you believe that men are talking about all women when they talk about very specific deficiencies, then that means that you think that most women are guilty of having these deficiencies, and men, don't believe that. I don't believe that. Like you said, you don't think that there are 50 million women in this country. Out of one of them, you got to be able to find a wife, which is why you would never do the passport bro thing, right?
I feel like if I can't find somebody within the 50 million women, that I fuck something up rather than society is that fucked. Or now I could, now let's say it is the case. Let's say I'm wrong and society is actually that fucked that in my home country, there's no chance to find somebody. Then I feel like I would take that depression and aggravation with me to my new country, and it wouldn't do me any good.
Yeah, and I think that that's happening for a lot of the passport bros too. So that's why I say, that's why I say, like, I don't have a problem with passport bros doing their thing, but I do have my skepticisms where I believe that they think they're going to some feminine utopia where, the women are going to, just be throwing themselves at their feet. No, it doesn't work like that. You're still going to have to do your work as a man to actually be a man that she values over the long term. And these women can be initially attracted to you, but if you don't have actual, grounded traits where, because a lot, part of the problem too is, and it's a minor problem. I'm only bringing this up because the problem exists, not because I think this applies to most men. But there is a subsection of women that say, well, these men want traditional women, but they're not traditional men. And for some of these men, that does apply. These men are going to struggle when they go overseas too. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I think that there's most certainly some men that have probably, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, and so I look at Carrie's. One of the things that I really genuinely despise. Can you put this comment up here from Carrie?
Which one?
And this is where like it starts to grind my gears. The long comment she wrote to Lavaris. I really love it when people don't actually listen to what you're saying, but instead they want to tell you what you're saying. I find it to be condescending. I find it to be disrespectful. Don't tell me what my philosophy is. If you want to know what my philosophy is, you only have to ask me. So everything that you said is completely incorrect and meant to shame me because you don't like what I'm saying. You can disagree with what I'm saying, But let's not let it go to disrespect. I'm not disrespecting you. Let's keep it respectful, please. Let's keep it respectful. All right.
Well, I would ask what makes you think that. I guess I would ask Carrie what makes you say that.
Yeah,
But then
because
we
it's definitely not from anything I've actually said. And again, I mean, I can say it till I'm blue in the face that most women are worth dealing with. I can say that, you know, guys want what they want, and they're always going to want what they want. And, you know, no amount of shaming is going to change that. You know, men are going to, on the balance of probabilities, do what they think is going to lead them more towards success, and not just live on the pipe dream that, you know, that one lady is just going to magically pop up. I can say that till I'm blue in the face. I can say that we are going to hold people accountable, and also women, because women are people. We're going to hold people accountable for the decisions that they make and the impact that their decisions have on their lives and the rest of the community. I can say that over and over and over again, and she'll put words in my mouth. I find that disrespectful.
I mean, if I was to steal what Carrie said, like if I missed something that you said earlier, when you say that what we want is simple and people are missing it,
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah,
I
what we
agree that
want,
there are a lot
what
of
we
people
want
that
is
miss
pretty
what we want.
simple. Like, you know, because we're human beings too. You know, we want people to be nice to us. We want people that are a joy to be around. People who are not going to stress us out at home. Somebody who we find physically attractive. Somebody who's young enough to bear healthy children. Like, yeah, these things are important. Yeah, they're important. So, you know, I'm always going to hope the best for you. You know, I hope the best for you. Whatever you want in this life, Carrie, I hope you get it. But let's I find the way that you are trying to frame my position in accusatory tones. I take that as disrespect. So let's keep it respectful, please.
Do you agree?
You know, and the
with
thing
that
is, it's
line?
not supposed
What
to
line
be
are we looking
divisive. I'm only speaking the words, you know? Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Hannah. And the thing is, the reason why I continue to have these conversations is because I know that the only thing that you need to do is to continue to keep the dialogue open. And some people are not going to listen no matter what. But thankfully, there are other people in the stream that might take some of the experiences and some of the views that are out there, and they may go do a little bit of research. They may go and look within themselves a little bit more, do a little bit more introspection, both on the men and the women's side. Because I don't believe that all of these men are just like these angels that are just not getting what they want. We all have our issues. We all have our problems. And you can make the case that these passport bros are showing that they're mentally weak. You can make that case, because instead of staying here and facing the issues and trying to find a way, they're like, fuck it, I'm going to press the eject button. People would say, hey, dude, you're a quitter. And I really wouldn't have too much of an argument against that. I really wouldn't. But I do believe that it's important. You know, Justin makes a good point here about instant gratification. I think that is a problem on both sides. But I also do know that you can't have, burning sensations. Boo-hoo, the world doesn't work the way I want it. What did you say? What was the mantra of the stream, Lewis?
Life is not fair.
Life is not fair for anybody. Life is not fair for anybody. But I do believe that men are going to be more likely to settle, to take less than what they want than a woman will. So the women will still hold out hope that they can get, you know, that guy that was captain of the football team. They'll still hold out that hope. Not all women will, but enough will. But men are like, man, can you just make me a sandwich? Can I just have a sandwich and you know, maybe a little bit of peace? You know, we are simple in that way. We don't have a long list of requirements to date us. So in that way, yes, we are simple. We don't. So, okay, Carrie. All right, Carrie. Thumbs up, Carrie. But yeah, I just think that you know, all of us have a lot to work on, and I think that we do need to continue to let the conversation play out. And I think it's also important for cooler heads to prevail as well, because I think that when people start to get emotional, and then they want to start putting words in your mouth, and then they want to shout you down, and then use shaming language and all these kind of things, right? It just doesn't further the conversation. It doesn't make anything better. But I do know that there are people that are probably going to take this conversation. They're going to be like, wow, I'm going to think about this a little bit. And maybe I should be a little bit less entitled. As a woman, maybe I should stop thinking that the whole world should bow to me. As a man, I should stop thinking that all the women should be the way that I want them to be. You know, the women are not going to be the way you want them to be. They're going to be who they are. Your job is to pick properly and to be the very best man that you can be, so that she'll also return the favor. That's your job as a man, right? So this is not about, putting down women. The women that, women are going to do whatever they want to do, and you're going to get the outcomes you're going to get. You're going to, get the family that you want, or you're going to get the boxed wine and the cat at age 50 that you want, if that's what you want. But whatever it is that you want, I hope that's what you get. Whatever it is you want. Find somebody or something that will allow you to get what you want. But the thing is, most women don't want to be single at age 50. So if you actually don't want to be single at age 50, you should probably start listening to men just a little bit, because a lot of women are out there listening to other women trying to find a man. And they're, for the most part, listening to single women. And single women only know how to help you stay single. So if you're a woman who appreciates and respects men, and you want to make a life with a man, start talking to the men in your life and asking them, well, what do you actually value? What should I expect from my man? What position should he play in my life? What should he be offering me? And hopefully it will be more than a 6-inch frame and a 6-inch dick and 6-pack abs. Hopefully it'll be more than that. But hey, what do I know? I'm already very successful. I'm already successful with women, but I do care about the other men, because I do know this for a fact. You can demonize the mass shooter, but the mass shooter doesn't just wake up because they're happy and then start shooting up places. They've got issues. And we need to start taking their issues seriously. We need all of these disenfranchised guys that you want to demonize after they've harmed people. Yeah, continue to do that, because you have every right to. But if we want to have any chance to stop all of these disenfranchised men from doing shit that hopeless, miserable people do, how about we start caring about them? How about we start valuing them in society and figuring out what their major malfunction is? So maybe we can start to prevent these situations. Maybe maybe I'm the crazy one, but I would like to offer support to people that are in need of support, not the people that society thinks are deserving of support. I want to go and support the people that Duke Togo doesn't start with the single moms. That is not true.
I can't find a point to interject, but I got to get to bed because I have to be up at 5:30 in the morning for a tow from my favorite fast food restaurant, and I'm kind of tired.
We need real counseling. Can you put up Carrie's comment? This is a good comment.
I agree.
Yeah, this is a major thing. We need to start thinking of the village thing. We're too autonomous. We're too strong and independent and don't need nobody. We do too much of this in society. We human beings are not designed to be solitary figures or binary figures. It takes a village to raise a child. You have both parents working outside their home, having their labor pilfered by the richest people that ever lived on planet Earth. And then the parents don't get to raise their goddamn kids. And then we wonder, well, who's going to be there to support the kids? That's another conversation. But yes, we need to have real counseling in school and at home. And we need to have parents that are available to their children to provide that counseling. But we don't live in that system, right? We live in a system that seeks to extract as much information and value out of you so they can make record profits while also cutting people's jobs by the tens of thousands.
Which needed to happen a long time ago. I am all for the job cuts from bullshit companies that don't make money.
Yeah.
Interest rates to 10%. Paul Volcker. Okay, I gotta get to bed.
Anyway.
I'll talk to you later.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate you.
I will see you later. Thank you very much. And
Yep. There you go.
all right.